Welcome back to Ready Player None, the only podcast recorded in full Zardoz cosplay. We've got Chapter 14 on the go. Our hero Wade is about to enter a chat-link session with Nolan Sorrento, head of operations for IOI. Can our hero resist making a deal with the devil? Wade describes a chat link as being something different from a chat room. When you opened a chat link, an insubstantial copy of your avatar was projected into another Oasis location. Your avatar wasn't actually there, and so it appeared to other avatars as a slightly transparent apparition. So unlike, say, the basement, H's chat room, which is a sort of non-physical location, this place does exist somewhere in the Oasis. In this instance, Parzival materialises on a grand observation deck with a view of a dozen Oasis planets. Behind him is the IOI corporate logo, 20 feet tall, and a reception desk with, quote, an impossibly beautiful blonde receptionist. This serves to demonstrate the level of excess you can afford when you're a large corporation. The receptionist greets him as if he's expected and says that Mr. Sorrento is already on his way. I wasn't sure how that could be, since I hadn't warned them I was coming. He also discovers IOI's disabled video recording. So much for my plan to post the interview on YouTube. Less than a minute later, Sorrento's avatar appeared. He's dressed like a standard Sixer. His avatar's face is modelled after his own face in real life, with blonde hair and brown eyes, a hawkish nose. He did wear the standard Sixer uniform, a navy blue bodysuit. What, like a leotard? With gold epaulettes at the shoulders and a silver IOI logo on his right breast, with his employee number printed beneath it, 655321. What else could a bodysuit mean? Bodysuit. I've just got tons of people wearing leotards. Thank you, Google's sponsored links, for something that seems like a cross between a necktie and a mankini, and what is very obviously some sort of gimp suit with a knob poking out. I hope one of these is what the character's wearing. At last, he said as he walked up, grinning like a jackal, the famous Parzival has graced us with his presence. He introduces himself and offers his hand to shake. Even as a chat-link projection, my avatar could still mime shaking his outstretched hand. Instead, I just stared down at it, as if he were offering me a dead rat. Sorrento leads Wade to a launching bay. It contained a single interplanetary shuttlecraft, emblazoned with the IOI logo. Wade asks why he bothered with the chat link instead of a chat room, but Sorrento tells him, this chat link is part of our sales pitch. We want to give you the same experience you'd have if you came to visit our headquarters in person. Wade scoffs because he knows if he went there in person, he'd be at their mercy. The two of them blast off in the shuttle, showing Wade that they're leaving one of the Six's orbital space stations and heading towards the planet IOI-1, a massive chrome globe. On autopilot, the shuttle orbits the entire planet. Sorrento watches in silence as Wade becomes the first gunter to see many of IOI-1's sites. Armories, bunkers, warehouses, vehicle hangars, airfields, gunships, spacecraft, battle tanks, all defended by a defense grid in high orbit. The shuttle comes to land at the IOI operations complex. It consisted of 3 mirror-surfaced towers, 2 rectangular skyscrapers on either side of a circular one. Seen from above, these buildings form the IOI logo. This is an Oasis replica of the real IOI towers in downtown Columbus. Columbus, it turns out, is where everything's popping off. GSS was located in Columbus, and so is the main Oasis server vault. IOI's close proximity to their building means they don't get any server lag. And, of course, Columbus doesn't suffer from the rolling power blackouts that plague most major US cities. Wade describes the city as a kind of high-tech mecca. Columbus was where an Oasis user could get the fastest, most reliable connection to the simulation. Most gunters dreamed of moving there someday, me included. Sorrento takes Wade into a lift, that's elevator for my American listeners, and puts the pressure on. It must be exciting for you. Probably a little scary too, huh? Knowing you now possess information that millions of people would be willing to kill for? Wade tells him to skip the scare tactics in head games, but Sorrento insists he not jump to conclusions, and that his offer might surprise him. Then, with a sudden touch of steel in his tone, he added, in fact, I'm certain of it. The lift stops on the 106th floor. Sorrento leads him down a utopian sci-fi corridor. All the Sixers that they pass on the way through snapped to rigid attention and saluted him as if he were some high-ranking general. Sorrento didn't return these salutes or acknowledge his underlings in any way. Sorrento's tour takes them to a huge open room, IOI's Oology division. It's filled with people in cubicles strapped into high-tech immersion rigs. So, this is Suxor's Central, eh? I said, glancing around. There's no need to be rude, Sorrento said. This could be your team. As Sorrento leads him through, he tells him that their immersion rigs are modified and networked together. Our systems allow multiple operators to control any one of our oologist's avatars. So depending on the obstacles an avatar encounters during the quest, control can be instantly transferred to the team member with the skills best suited to deal with the situation. Wade tells him that's cheating. There's no such thing. Halliday's contest doesn't have any rules. That's one of the many colossal mistakes the old fool made. Sorrento tells him they're just like any other Gunter clan, but they work together much closer. That's why we're going to win. Wade mocks him, considering they need him to tell them where the copper key is, and they've made no progress in the past 5 years. Sorrento laughs and tells him he's got cojones. They arrive in Sorrento's enormous office. Sorrento finally makes his offer. IOI wants to recruit Wade as a consultant. You'll have all of our company's vast resources at your disposal. Money, weapons, magic items, ships, artifacts, you name it. He's offered the position of chief oologist, second only to Sorrento himself. He'd have a salary of $2 million a year, with a $1 million signing up bonus, and $25 million bonus when he finds the egg. And he'd also get excellent living quarters on the premises in Columbus. Wade trolls him, telling him he needs a few more days to make a decision, but Sorrento insists that this could all be over in a few days. Sorrento tries to sway him. I know most Gunters cling to the absurd notion that IOI is evil, and that the Sixers are ruthless corporate drones with no honor and no respect for the true spirit of the contest. They're all sellouts, right? Sorrento insists they're just another Gunter clan, albeit a well-funded one. But Wade is dead set against putting a paywall on the only thing that's ever made life bearable for a lot of people. No, I thought. You're going to turn it into a fascist corporate theme park where the few people who can still afford the price of admission no longer have an ounce of freedom. To Sorrento's surprise, Wade says, "Count me in. Sign me up. Whatever you guys call it, I'm in." But Wade says he's got 3 minor conditions. First is that he wants the $50 million bonus when he finds the egg. Second is that he wants Sorrento's job. I want to be in charge of the whole shebang. Chief of Operations. El Numero Uno. Oh, and I want everyone to have to call me El Numero Uno too. Is that possible? And his third condition is that Sorrento himself is fired from the company. Silence. Sorrento's face was a stoic mask. He probably had certain emotions, like anger and rage, filtered out on his facial recognition software. There's a long silence as Sorrento's bosses, who've been monitoring the whole situation, discuss Wade's terms. And they accept. The company will prepare your contract and send it to your lawyer for approval. Then they will fly you here to Columbus to sign the paperwork and close the deal. He stood. That should conclude. Actually, I held up a hand, cutting him off again. I've spent the last few seconds thinking this over a bit more, and I'm going to have to pass on your offer. I think I'd rather find the egg on my own, thanks. I stood up. You and all the other sucksaws can go a duck. Sorrento laughs with relief, because that was the answer he was expecting. Oh. Okay. Sorrento's first backup offer is $5 million right now for a walkthrough up to the first gate. And that's it. Wade's annoyed by his paternal tone and insists that IOI can't buy him. He'd find it unconscionable if he was the one who helped IOI locate the egg. Can't you take a hint? You can't buy me. So piss off. Adios. Goodbye. Sit down, Wade. I froze. Had he just used my real name? That's right, Sorrento barked. We know who you are. Wade Owen Watts, born August 12th, 2024. Both parents deceased. And we also know where you are. Sorrento gives him his exact address, revealing a live vid feed of Wade's aunt's trailer. The surveillance team has only monitored the main doorways into the trailer, so they've not seen Wade sneak out of the laundry room window. They don't know he's currently in his underground van hideout. You should really get out more, Wade. It's not healthy to spend all of your time indoors. Wade's stunned. His Oasis account doesn't even have his address in it, just his name and retinal pattern. Your first instinct right now might be to log out and make a run for it, Sorrento said. I urge you not to make that mistake. Your trailer is currently wired with a large quantity of high explosives. He pulled something that looked like a remote control out of his pocket and held it up. And my finger is on the detonator. If you log out of this chatling session, you will die within a few seconds. Do you understand what I'm saying to you, Mr. Watts? He's sure that Sorrento's bluffing. He wouldn't really kill all those people just to get to him, would he? The only thing he can stutter out is, how? Sorrento brags that Wade screwed up when he gave the Oasis public school system his name and address. Sorrento reveals that he bribed a school administrator to hand over Wade and H's records. It's not made explicit here, but it's IROC's circulation of the fact that Parzival and Wade go to school on Ludus that's allowed this to happen. Do you know how little a school administrator makes a year, Wade? It's scandalous. Another window appeared beside the live video feed of the stacks. It displayed my entire student profile. My full name, avatar name, student alias, Wade 3, date of birth, social security number, and home address. My school transcripts. It was all there along with an old yearbook photo taken over 5 years ago, right before I transferred to school in the Oasis. H, on the other hand, was smart enough to give a fake name and address when he enrolled. So that brings me to our final proposal. Tell us how to reach the first gate, right now, or we will kill you, right now. You're bluffing, I heard myself say. But I didn't think he was. Not at all. Sorrento tells him that an explosion in this Oklahoma City trailer park would just be blamed on a domestic terrorist cell or a drug lab accident. Either way, it will just mean there are a few hundred less human cockroaches out there collecting food vouchers and using up precious oxygen. No one will care, and the authorities won't even blink. Wade knows he's right, and that fact terrifies him. It dispels the idea that Sorrento could be bluffing. Whether or not he helps them, they're going to kill him either way as soon as he logs out without their authorization. Wade tells him that IOI is going to lose and logs out. Sorrento says, "Stupid move, kid." Wade finds himself back in his van hideout, but there's no explosion. It must have been a bluff. In his relief, he goes to warn H and Artemis that the Sixers would go after them next. And then there was an explosion. Several trailer stacks start to collapse, ripping free of their scaffolding and crashing against one another like massive dominoes. These horrific sounds continued for what seemed like a very long time. Then it was silent again. In a complete haze, Wade opens the rear door of his van. At the opposite end of the stacks there's a giant pillar of flame and smoke. He joins a crowd headed towards the disaster area. There was nothing there now but a massive pile of twisted, flaming metal. There's another small explosion as an ancient propane tank goes up in flame, and the crowd scatters. The residents in nearby stacks tried to extinguish the flame using anything they could find. Before long, the flames were contained and the fire began to die out. Realizing that the Sixers must have agents on the ground, Wade sneaks away back to his hideout, being careful not to run. Once I was back inside the van, I slammed and locked the door, then curled into a quivering ball in the corner. I stayed like that for a long time. Eventually, the shock began to wear off, and the reality of what had just happened started to sink in. My Aunt Alice and her boyfriend Rick were dead, along with everyone who had lived in our trailer, and in the trailers below and around it, including sweet old Mrs. Gilmore. And if I had been at home, I would be dead now too. He's determined to do something about his situation, but he doesn't have a shred of proof against Sorrento and the Sixers. If he called the police or the news, they wouldn't believe him. Revealing my identity to the world so that I could accuse one of the world's most powerful corporations of blackmail and murder didn't seem like the smartest move. No one would believe me. I could barely believe it myself. So his plan is to wait for his endorsement checks to come in the next couple of days, so he has enough money to get the hell out of the stacks. Once they find out he's still alive, they'll come looking for him. But right now, I needed to talk to H to warn him that he was next on the Sixers hit list. I was also desperate to see a friendly face. End chapter 14. I hate to say it, but it's cliche, a villainous business deal as that was. That was actually quite interesting. You know, on reflection, maybe Sorrento is the main villain. I still don't trust Morrow, but Sorrento certainly seems like he means business. I'm glad that Wade's tremendous over-specialization has led to a point where his arrogance has got him into so much hot water, and those ridiculous stacks have toppled like dominoes like they warned us in the first chapter. And I gotta be honest, I was expecting Mrs. Gilmore to be a recurring character. Maybe her avatar will live on like some sort of weird ghost like Anorak. I'm almost looking forward to the next chapter. There's a lot to stew on in this one. How is this going to shake up the status quo? I've been Gherkin, and if you want to shake up the status quo, follow me on Twitter @TheLastGherkin, or follow the show on Twitter @RPN_pod. You can watch along with subtitles on YouTube, The Last Gherkin, or listen along as an MP3 at thelastgherkin.podbean.com. Join us next time as we ask the question, no seriously, what did he mean by a bodysuit? Is he a friggin' wet look leather gimp? Parzival materializes on an observation dick. Our hero Wade is about to connect into a chat link session with Nolan North.